So the vote unanimous, so the meeting open at 19:56, 7:56 hours on that. Tonight's agenda, just a lot of miscellaneous paperwork, but let's go through it. Site inspections, paperwork?
Yes, I've got a bill for doing Groveland Fairway.
Okay, have before us here the accounting schedule for Groveland Fairway site inspections, requirement of the planning board. Okay, these are for site inspections of, how many hours, Bob, roughly?
13.
13 hours. Okay. Has everybody seen this for the site inspections for the RPC?
Yep.
Yes, and if you want to see that, just click it down there. When you're through, just, we need a motion to endorse.
I can't.
All set?
Do it. Someone
Yep.
else has to.
So we'll have one extension and, motion to endorse.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Show 4 yea, 1 abstention. Correction, wait a minute, 2 abstentions, right? You abstaining on that? Okay. 2 abstentions and 3 yeas. Invoice flies. Okay, we turned into the finance section.
And you need to sign the slip on the other side.
Yeah. Okay, if you could turn that into the finance director, please.
Yep.
No? Okay. Second note up, we have a, what appears to be just a copy of a building permit checklist for 22 Main Street for the Pentucket Junior High, for the, dry storage. Any objections, anybody know of any for that? I
Where's
think
the
this is-
storage?
This is, at the junior high school.
Temporary or permanent?
Looks permanent. It's a dry storage for sports, they're putting up the tennis court. I think this is information only. It was nice of them to actually include us on that, so take that in. Okay.
You need a motion to sign it, or what?
No, it's just information only.
Okay.
There's not even a requirement
Okay.
on that. Okay. This is part of SC's way on that with Mashonda. Okay, and then we have the Kravchuk
The
Mylars for the definitive?
Yeah,
Okay,
they need to be signed.
okay. And the memorandum is complete, turned in, endorsed
Yes.
onto that, so, and the engineer of record dropped these by. He was unable to make it in the weather, or just
Yeah, the time constraints.
onto that? Okay, so we need a motion to endorse the Mylars which are set up on the signing table
So motion.
for the Kravchuk Drive.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Show the vote unanimous, we'll endorse the Mylars a little bit later. Okay. Next up here, we do have an application which came in without the applicant present, and this is probably what you folks are here for. Okay, this was submitted by Mashonda, which is an engineering and planning consultants for Eric Harper of the SD Park Trust for site plan review and special permit. Okay? This was timestamped erroneously, early, only yesterday though, by the town clerk. The applicant needs to come into the meeting, present everything, and then get a timestamp. But this is a 6-month process, so we'll have to get them to re-stamp. Is there any person here representing Mashonda or SD's present? Okay. What we have here, which is for public record, looks like a set of engineering plans and the site plan application.
All right, Walter, let me explain. Larry Ogden called me 3 hours ago to inform me that he had those time stamped yesterday. And that what he's looking for from us is a date And he doesn't think he can make our next meeting to advertise everything on January 6th, so he needs a date from us after the 6th, that I can get back to him. That gives him enough time to post the hearing and send out the abutters notices.
Okay. Do we have another posted meeting this month?
The 6th is already posted.
That's next month.
Yep.
That's January.
Yeah.
What about December?
In
Nothing.
December, no, we decided not to at the last meeting.
Okay. So what we need to do is get a hold of the applicant, because they did need to be present to present this, plus there's no check, there's no fee, so we don't have a complete application. This is open for public review, so if you folks want to just come up and take a look at this.
You got questions, generally?
You can, yeah, this might answer some of them.
You said there was a 6-month period. Is that the review period is 6
Mhm.
months before the approval or disapproval, or is it an approval and then 6-month process of feeling it out?
You have to
You have to come
come
up to the, just state your name and address for the record.
Mike LaFrance, 1 Wharf Lane. My question was about the
Is
process.
it on? Is it green?
It's green. And what, I guess, it entails in that 6-month period.
This application that is before us, although incomplete, falls under site plan review and special permit. In the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, it's the longest running of the review process, and it can be extended, that's just the way the guidelines
So
go.
can a business stay operational while that process is ongoing?
Well, that's what we're trying to find out. To answer your question, if it's under the guidelines, but that's a zoning issue, that's under site plan review, we're looking at the whole site, and there's a lot of buildings there, and there's a lot of activity there. And I think the applicant did recognize that, and they are here before us with, although an incomplete application, they're on the right track to get this done. So we can review it, see what's going on out there,
Okay.
see what needs to be out there. You folks, the abutters will be notified, we're gonna have hearings on this, and we're gonna have just the whole process, plus we'll have a third-party engineer reviewing this plan, drainage, and other things that are out here, and we'll field every question. That process typically runs 6 months. It can run sooner, and it can run longer. So, but we're gonna get to the bottom of all the concerns. It is a very large property that's out there. There's been a lot of improvements for the better, but we still need to know what's going on, and we need to know what happened with those. You know, when they started doing improvements, did it change anything else? So we don't really have enough answers, or any answers yet, really, other than what we've seen visually. So that's why this is here. So, and we'll get to the bottom of it as it comes in. The immediate concern is that the application was submitted, though it's incomplete, so the time clock won't start on this because we have an incomplete application. But we do have to get a hold of the applicant and straighten that part out. And then it'll go off for engineering review. And then we'll start our hearings, and then there'll be a presentation and all that. So you will get a certified letter in the mail for the notices. There'll be more than one. So if you're residents and friends there, feel free to bring them
Diane LaFrance, 1 Wharf Lane.
in.
I have a question. What is going to go on with the current special permit that was issued on March 5th? Is that
What year?
still in enforcement?
What year?
2014, by the ZBA.
ZBA issued a special for,
Yeah, so,
She's talking about that and also Pat Skena's general,
the building permit?
yeah,
The general building permit, from what I understand, I do not have a copy of it, I am not the building inspector, nor this board doesn't enforce on the zoning, although we interpret it, and we write it. But from my understanding, what happened is that there was a general improvement building permit issued to secure buildings, the electric company did their own underground power, and then there was a building that was moved, a very large one, that came in over here.
It was constructed.
Are we gonna have any other business after this?
No, I think this is,
just the signing of the
Well-
bylaws.
Am I
And-
supposed to be here?
Yeah,
I don't
Andrea
think I'm
should
supposed to be
leave.
here.
are you,
She's in a
She's
butter.
butter.
They,
Oh, okay.
Butter,
Yeah.
too, I'd be a butter. She has to leave. I don't wanna get this in trouble, because
No,
that's it, right then
Right.
and there.
so you have this.
that would just, this probably won't go on, so don't go too far.
Just go back in the room. See you later.
Well, I can't sit in here.
No.
Well, I guess my concern currently is the violations that this property still is hindering the abutters. They have not been addressed. We have been to many boards. We have been to the building inspector, and we're just asking for assistance in having the things that the zoning board asked him to do and get it done within 10 days. It's been 5 weeks.
What, can you,
It's the lighting is so intrusive in our neighborhood. There's big, 4 huge spotlights, LED lights, that just shine from the opposite property line all the way across into our homes. Just lights up, it's like being at the stadium.
is that,
And he has not altered any of the lights, so that's what I'm asking is, where
the only
are we
concern?
on the special permit? Is this just dead in the water? He continues to operate over there. You know, Wednesday night, they do not operate under the business hours. They're there every single Sunday. They're there past 7 o'clock. They're there before 7 o'clock. Him himself is there before 7 o'clock many of the mornings. 6:15, I've seen him recently in the first building coming in. The gate has not changed anything. Everybody has the code to get in, they go in. Wednesday night, we had family over for Thanksgiving Eve. We have 6 plow trucks over there, they're all getting ready, you know, amber lights are on, and then they all line up after like an hour and a half, and engines running, horns blowing, backup alarms. Then they line up and somebody does the code and they leave through the gate. As the amber lights are on, the big floodlights are constantly on. So that's what I'm asking is where are we?
okay.
What do we do as abutters
Okay.
for some peace?
Forgive me for just getting spooled up on this, but this is the first time before our board, this is the first time we've seen anything on this, although I've been down there and others have been down there. So the special permit, the lighting I hear, that's an easy fix, but was there a set of demands, or?
It's in the special permit,
Okay.
says 2 lights.
We didn't issue it, so I don't have a copy. Do you have one with you?
I don't
so we
have it
can
with
read
me
it? We're-
currently.
Besides, the lighting is an easy fix to go right away, and that shouldn't be on.
Right, and that's why we thought in 10 days it would happen. We've been extremely patient, which has now been 10 months.
Is that the only thing on it?
On what?
On this, on the permit? Yeah.
Oh, no, there's
No, it's
17
So we
quite
get-
days.
lengthy.
is
It's
it?
quite lengthy,
Okay.
yeah.
So that was issued by the ZBA under,
March 5th of 2014.
okay, for special permit, and those things were supposed to be complied with within 10 days. Okay, all of them?
Well, he wasn't supposed to be in violation. And these were the main things that were bothering the abutters immediately, that the ZBA said
Okay.
that he would fix, and he has not.
Okay, so,
Well, let me give you I went to 2 of those meetings, and one of the things that I had asked for at both meetings was a site plan review. If we do the site plan review first, and then they can issue the uses relative to what the site plan brings out,
Right, but the
it'd have been a
meeting,
lot easier.
on March 5th, you were at the
But-
meeting, and you said the planning board was all set with this. And they went
We
forward
didn't have a
and
problem
gave
with
him
it
the
being
permit.
reused. We didn't have a problem with it being reused. But the reality is that this is a big project, and it had to come in. Now, I did a little talking to others, and I said, he's got to do the site plan review. And they agreed at the last meeting I attended, which I think was 2 meetings ago that they held on it, that they would do the site plan review. That was probably, I don't know, probably sometime either early November, late October. And at that point, We're just getting it. It came in
Right, so the
yesterday.
question is, what's going on with the permit that was issued?
The permit that
anyone
was
going to
issued,
enforce
you
those?
have to go back to, what did that permit say? Okay, because whatever that permit says, I don't have it in front of me. Whatever that permit said, you pretty much, he can do.
Well, he's violated everyone.
But then, in the second go-around by the ZBA, they were complaining about what else was going on that they had found out. And that was kinda like what they seemed to be saying, oh no, that's not what we wrote in the decision. But,
Basically, that's a come clean and go from there.
yeah, it's, for them right now, with this thing getting done, it'll make it better for them, because a lot of these issues that are now cropping up, we can come in there with recommendations, yes, no. The unfortunate problem is, everybody's part-time in this town. And everybody sitting on this board, we're part-time, and the same with the ZBA. So that when some of these things come up, then you get another person involved, like the building inspector did, and it just took off and went all the way over the cliff at that point. To bring that back up and to put that back on the table is gonna take a little doing. Our only hope is at this point, someone's getting the message. And the message, well, then,
We're gonna make some calls.
yeah,
But it would help us on the short term, since we do have this under site plan review and it's coming in, and we have to get a hold of these folks just to complete the application, but we can hit them with that list and point out these things have to be done. Lighting is it's a serious concern at night, I understand all that, light pollution, okay, but it's an easy fix.
And it should have been done.
Right.
That's the
I don't disagree with you.
Last year, they knew about that.
Okay.
And then they gave them in the
We're 9 months later, so
10
it should have been done. So, and that's gonna continue through, it's getting obviously darker earlier, so that is a concern, and that's something that can be fixed. And even if they need lighting to maneuver, that can be put on a motion sensor so it stays on for 5 minutes, and then goes out. It doesn't need to be on all night.
This is the problem, and he has just destroyed the neighborhood, the chemistry, it's.
Well, we'll get to the bottom of that, because this will open up and overturn every rock that we need to turn to find out what's going on, and then reach, as Jim pointed out, get this thing on the right track. I think it started on the wrong track. I think the intentions may have been good, but it's a very large project, and I think it got into some serious mission creep from what they initially intended. And we'll get that taken care of, but we have to know what's going on too. But if you've got a list of something that was supposed to be complied with, that now can come right back in here as a recommendation on the site plan review to enforce the special permit with the restrictions. But we need to know what those are.
Well, I sent
yeah.
emails, and a butter sent them to the zoning board, and we sent them to the.
Can you send us a copy?
send it to the
Can you send
planning
us a
sent them
copy?
To the, building inspector.
Okay, can you send us a copy or bring a copy in so we have it for the record? Because we don't have it at our hands. I mean, I'd love to be able to call Mr. Harper, Mr. Ogden, and say, get out there tomorrow and handle items 1 through 6, but I don't know what they are, other than
Well,
lighting.
I'd be happy to drop it off, I can email it to you.
Yeah, please do. I'll give you my email address, get it to me, and we'll get this working right away, because this is coming before us, and they need to comply to get that going on.
How does it seem like the second application was a larger, expansive use of the property than the first approved non-conforming use was?
Which application, where was it submitted?
Well,
Here?
not the application itself, but how the non-conforming use variance was granted to him.
That's what we're trying to get to the
Well,
bottom.
That doesn't really
I
dovetail
can
with
tell
that.
you right now, whenever you get into these pre-existing non-conforming uses, and I mean, someone has made a misstatement as far as I'm concerned, and that is that it was abandoned for 2 years. It was not abandoned, it was for sale, for lease. And that doesn't mean it's abandoned if it doesn't sell in that period of time. I mean, we'd be putting out businesses left and right in this country if we held up with that definition of abandonment. And every lawyer that I've ever known, because I've sat on a number of ZBA cases where we had to look at pre-existing nonconformings. And they'll give an opinion, and they'll cite case law, they'll cite court decisions. You know, the pre-existing non-conformings don't die, as long as they're offered for sale or for lease. Because in the environment we've been in since literally first of 2008, I can tell you right now, not just here, but, you know, throughout the country, you can find shopping centers that are half full. You know, they're just starting to come back now. So, you know, you have to look at it from that angle and everything. The real problem, I think, that got pushed over the cliff, in a sense, it started as a storage orientation. And I don't think anybody had a problem with that whatsoever at all. I mean, I had heard boat storage, you know, which, if you look on the other side of the river, on the other side of the bridge, I mean, that guy's got a going business over there. Then it got into, you know, storage of other things. But it was still storage. But it sounds like you got operations going on over there day in and day out, and that's not storage.
Yeah, it seems like a complete change.
Yeah, and that's what's gotta get corrected here. I mean, and
We'll get to the bottom of it.
I don't know how much space he has in his other 5 buildings
I don't
up
think
at
any of
Federal
this-
Way, is to move some of those things up there.
I mean, the boats are not stored, they're dumped there, and they don't even have motors on them, they're just abandoned.
Well,
You know, they're not winterized, he stated that to the ZBA. I mean, they're in our flood zone, that river comes up
that's,
every spring.
we're in the aquifer too here, that's why it's special permit,
Yeah.
so we're gonna be addressing all that. And they're gonna have to state that, and we'll be doing site walks, I'm sure, so, to take a look. 'Cause I've toured the whole place myself, I spent a good couple of hours out there, long before this came in, because we were getting calls and concerns, and there are concerns out there, a lot of them. But this is the proper way to handle them. Let's get it in, get it reviewed, get the engineers out there, we'll get the site plan review, which will cover all aspects, the aquifer area, that'll open up the special permit and that to answer those questions about the boats, the storage, the floodplains. All that'll have to be answered here, and then if there's issues, we'll come up with solutions to get them addressed. But it would help out a lot if you can get us that other special permit that was issued.
24 hours.
Yeah, thank you.
More than 12, I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll get it, we'll get on it.
Morning.
Okay, and I'll make some calls and tomorrow, and we'll see if we can get that moving and see what the holdup is, and then we gotta get them back in here anyway.
Is there anything on the site plan for, you know, a butters, screening, fencing?
This is the basic, they did the letter of application, submitted a plan, and very little information.
Yeah.
This is just the bare bones submittal, it has nothing, then they come in.
Does the site plan show, any,
It's like a conceptual plan. We do, when we get
There's
into
not enough detail on
subdivisions,
here.
we go conceptual, preliminary, definitive.
Yeah.
And that's where it brings out a lot of different things.
Oh, yeah, they gotta do a full-blown presentation, building by building, what's out there, what's existing, what the plan is, and then the engineers have to go to work and start cross-checking all the drainage, the aquifer, where the lines are, where the floodplain is, all that's gotta go. That's why this process takes a while, okay? And then we have to hear the problems and figure out solutions. So it's gonna take a while. We'll get to it. We will, and
Yeah.
that's good.
Our next meeting
That's
is January 6th. Can't tell you whether this thing's gonna be before us then or not, but once you have, you know, what you wanna do is get 2 people to keep showing up. Find out when we're gonna have our meetings and, you know, kinda show up no matter what. That's the best thing I can tell you. And that way you can call everybody else, you know, at that point, if we're gonna be hearing it. I was gonna say, we're trying to get our meetings, you know, to be kinda like the same date every month, you know, first Tuesday, something like that, so, you know, most people can figure it out at that point.
They're posted, though.
We
on that.
just.
You can always call.
Yeah, we do run into problems every now and then. We can't get a quorum, 3 people at least. We've had, you know, various times that, we don't have really holidays on Tuesdays. but, you know, we get around that problem. But like this month, today's what, the 2nd? Well, last year, we had one posted for the 17th, and we were trying to figure out, did we have a meeting, or didn't we? You know, you think back sometimes, and it's like, nobody could figure it out until someone had it right on, you know, their phone saying, no, it got canceled. And that's because Christmas is coming. We can't hold a meeting close to Christmas, we know that. We should stay away from it,
But we're
What's good?
tuned in, we won't miss
so,
it.
Yeah, I think what we should probably do is get the applicant to come in with a full set, the checks, the whole 9 yards, and do the 5-minute presentation on, the January meeting, and then re-stamp the next day. 'Cause it'll be complete application.
I was under the impression they weren't gonna come in with this thing until January 6th,
Yeah.
but it showed up.
Yeah, we can't do anything with it anyway. We
So-
don't have a fee, we don't have an engineering fee, we don't, I mean, it's just gonna sit
No,
here.
No, it just.
So I think, I mean, I'm glad they started on it,
But it
but
got
now they have another
timestamped.
30 days.
Sorry. Ascertain the pre-existing square footage as opposed to what's being stated by the landowner. So there's a pretty big discrepancy, and this goes back to the zoning board meeting, prior.
Well, if you take all the buildings that were there,
Are you talking land square footage, by the way?
Storage square footage.
well, if you take all the buildings, whether enclosed or unenclosed, you add up whatever was under, okay, that's what he starts with. And I think he tore down a lot of stuff already.
With 3 pole barns, though.
Yeah, and I think what he, there, if,
He's got some numbers here. These are, I'll just read them off since they're on the public plan. Have you seen these plans?
I saw, yeah, I've seen the numbers.
Okay, 80,000, is that the one you saw? Okay, he's got a total existing 80,000 square feet, building area current 69,000, reduction 10,001. Area of sheds, buildings to be assigned 17,344. An existing impervious, 398,500 square feet, and proposed impervious, 376,000 square feet. So, and we'll confirm all that, that's easy to
That gets
do.
assessed, right, every year, the size of the square footage for each building?
Supposed to be, but we'll get, it's part of this process, so
I just wondered, okay.
that's easy to do. with the-
it's, the other thing is, that this thing has changed so much over the years that was in front of you. It goes back all the way, I believe, to the 30s. And
Right, there's a lot.
My first trip down there was in the 50s, believe it, when I was a kid. And, I mean, there wasn't that much down there. And they just kept adding.
He's got each building square footage wise on it.
I mean,
Sure.
some of those things got into deterioration mode, actually, at one point. But it's,
This
You
one's
know.
the big one.
These enclosed buildings that were not enclosed because of the flood zone.
Oh, yeah.
Square footage.
We see, we'll get to all of it, but it's gonna be a long process, so bear with us.
Yeah.
But keep your questions coming. The best thing to do for us, we say this to everyone, is write your questions down.
yeah.
You can
everything.
type them out,
Anything
send them in an
everything, you write it
email.
down, submit
If you
it.
send them in an email, submit it, bring 3 copies, because we'll get one to the applicant, one will go with the board, and one will go to the review engineer. So your questions will be reviewed, okay, under the process. So address it to the board, bring in 3 copies, and we'll get them out there. So, and, the question, don't fret, you'll walk out of the store and you'll go, gee, I forgot to ask that question, happens all the time. Ask it next time. Email it to us, okay? Let your, the residents know, the abutters know. And, you know, we will answer every single question and get it all done, and there'll be lots of hearings going through on this. And, we have a lot more concerns too, that we like to tag on, so.
It was just catching up, sorry.
Yeah, no, thanks for, I appreciate you coming in, and I'm glad it's before us here, although I think it should have been a while ago, but, we're off to a start, so let's see where this goes.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you for coming in.
He gets to continue to operate.
That's, we need that special permit. If you can give us a copy, we'll at least get some questions answered
Yeah,
on that. So,
all right, thank
let's
you.
see if I get you an email.
You have your email?
Yeah, I think it's on the town website too, but let me just give you a,
Yeah, I had sent you an email, but I didn't know if it went through.
I don't recall getting it, but I'll put it right here for you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Have a nice holiday.
See you later.
There you go, there's my card,
You'll get
and
the
then
lights
there's the
fixed so
email
we
on it.
can have a nice holiday.
That's an easy fix, we can get on that fairly quickly. I just need what they issued. We'll address it here if they didn't address it there.
And the junk cars, thank you so much, Karen.
Okay, thank you very much. That's that, we voted that in. Minutes in there, we have to sign the Mylars, that's next up. Is there any other planning board business?
Well, let's talk medical marijuana. We
Is
finally,
that, finally got something? from-
finally got something back from them after 7 months.
Okay, did they
No.
correct it?
Well, they corrected some things. I mean, they changed this thing from medical marijuana facility to registered marijuana dispensary throughout the entire thing.
Okay.
We
Verbiage
had,
change?
we had a major thing about the definitions. There are actually 3 pages of definitions in the law. And I wanted to get around writing every one of those, because they might change at some point. Well, what they did do was they simply came in and they said, what they're basically saying is the definitions within the act,
Okay,
okay? And they're also using the CMRs as well.
okay.
Sometimes, if those things are gonna stay the same, you're all right with it, but, if they start changing numbers, and you're putting this in your bylaw, and later on, somebody says, I don't know what that means, I can't find it. Okay, it's got a whole new numbering system, you gotta go back to the town meeting to change your bylaw. That's one of the problems with this, because we have to do everything through the town meeting approval. Not like a city where the planning board holds a hearing and shuffles it off to the city council and they just rubber stamp the darn thing.
So did they write that, ready to go?
It's somewhat ready to go. There are some things in here where I always use the word shall and they put in the word may, and that's a typical lawyer bit of verbiage, and I'm going right back to the word shall, I'll tell you that right now. It's not a whole lot of other things that they did do that I can see is gonna cause a problem. But then they get to what's known as page 3 here, where they make comments, there's 2 comments. And basically, they're saying what's in the CMRs.
Okay,
Now, I can just go in and reference the CMRs,
okay,
and that's it. What they're basically trying to say is, you can't say that, because it's in the CMR, you have to go by what's written in the CMR. But to write the whole damn CMR, this is not the whole CMR.
Just took a section out.
That's just telling you about what it says.
okay.
I can reference that. But when you get down to the rest of it, it's minuscule changes that they did do.
Okay,
I mean, they did get a bylaw that every city and town has been copying left and right.
how soon can we get that to, the selectman's office so they can put it onto the warrant?
We have to have hearings.
Yeah, we have
Right,
to,
but
we have
we
to
have to
hold
s-
hearings and everything.
We have to submit
Yeah.
we can let them know that it was approved
Yeah,
right up to the day,
yeah.
but, they have to get it onto the warrant.
Well, I started typing it, okay,
Okay.
but something else came up on this
Next month?
minutes. Oh, yeah, you'll have it January,
Okay,
ready to go, but, some things are slowing me down, I can tell you that right now.
well, let's start with that, and get that over to, whenever you can, Jim, over to the selectmen, and so they can get that for the warrant with
Alright.
the corrections. And then the other thing that we get coming in, I got a call from, Mitch Croner, on, the in-law apartment stuff, and under the laws that we have that were changed a while back, we have the 900 square foot, and we have that issue of attached, detached on the in-law. Now, there's a few of these in town that meet the 900 square footage that are detached, okay? My personal opinion is, we should look at this and see if that verbiage needs to be added in there. Clearly, if you have an in-law apartment in the town of Groveland, it has to be registered with the assessor's office, so they know what it is. Has to go through the process to put it in. But let's see what the language looks like on the changes.
What I did was, and this is what other towns are doing within the house, part of the house. You can add on to the house.
Yeah,
That's what they're all doing, because what you're ending up doing is, like in one case, they had a pool house in this town,
yeah,
and they added on to the pool house,
it
created
became,
another house, so you got two houses in one lot.
what's the square footage?
Well, it can go in excess of 900.
Wow,
900
that's
is the
different.
limit.
Right,
It's
so.
not your limit, it's-
So on an in-law, if we're gonna propose a change, clearly on something that is not attached, okay, it still has to stick with the 900 square feet.
Well, we took it out. The Board of Appeals wanted it out, so we took it out.
When was that?
This
How long
is
ago?
6 months.
6 months ago?
Oh, God, yeah, this is done before June.
So they took out the detached
I took
language.
it out.
Oh, you took it out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, you gotta look at this thing in that, what's happening is, they will play with this thing. And what it was meant to be was basically, and this is what I can't understand. Your mom and dad need a place to live.
Right,
Why do you throw them out in the garage,
I think that,
okay?
yeah,
Why do you do something like that? Now, Mitch Croner even told me, and if he's listening tonight, he can hear this. I went up to his house to look, because he said he might put something on top of his garage, but that's detached. He had about a space of about 5 feet between the house and the garage.
you
He
just put it
put a
away
little lean-to over that.
over that, so
and you
that's
were in.
covered.
Exactly. You
So,
know? I mean, I'll listen to common sense, but when it gets stupid, no.
all right, well, let's see what a proposed change would look like, and I was unaware that the bylaw had changed again 6 months ago.
I didn't think that happened, Jen.
Oh, yeah, it did.
I
Right.
thought we kept it in the one building, one unit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
I thought so,
unit will
too.
be inside the building, inside the existing building,
Yeah,
attached.
I thought you said they took it out.
Well, I took out the detached,
Oh.
that's what it took out.
Oh.
That was just a rub, that's all that was.
So let's take a look and see it's coming somewhere, so we'll just take a look at it and bring it up again and see what it
The
is.
other thing is, I had put before Denise, the finance director / town manager, 3 other things that the Board of Appeals want changed. And one is home occupation, because they're getting into problems with certain home occupations that people have brought before the town. We've got a possible lawsuit on one of them. So
What type
that
of,
I had to rewrite a definition and everything, and I
Okay.
garnered a lot of this stuff from other bylaws and everything, but we're still gonna do them, but basically, what home occupation was supposed to be in the first place, even though it's traveled from, what people did years ago when the zoning bylaws were first written, is you can do something within a home, but then take it somewhere else for sale.
Okay,
Okay? Today's home occupation is largely telephone and computer. That's the 2 largest that you have. Yeah, we know people are out in the garage or down a basement sawing wood and doing other stuff and everything. But we wanna keep away from for sale operations within residential areas. And it's pretty well been that way over the years, but, we had one, I'm not gonna get into it, because it's up before the town at this point as a possible lawsuit. And, we've got to make sure that the residential areas are left intact to be what they are, that's all.
okay,
All right.
we'll take a look at that.
The other thing is a non-conforming bylaw. This is this over interpretation of, pre-existing non-conforming. And basically, my argument to our lawyers was, that we've had so many times, we've had lawyers come in with opinions. after, and I mentioned it tonight, you know, that it's, it doesn't go into a situation of, it's dead. It's not. If, as long as it's for sale or for lease, it keeps its use.
So what's, on the pre-existing non-conforming, that covers a wide blanket.
Yeah, it does, but,
So-
you know, it gets into, I cite or I basically tell them what the problem is. You know, cite the existing bylaw, then I write a new bylaw that we have. This is the one that was, written for us. But I want, you know, I would like them to say, come back and say, yeah, you're all right with that. That's what's getting the Board of Appeals a lot. The other one is, the third one is the dwellings per lot. And, this is one of the original parts of the bylaw. It's in section 100. It's the general part, dwellings per lot. Is not more than one building designed or available for use for dwelling purposes. But this was being construed by the former Board of Appeals as going into business and into industrial. And that's not what it says. It's dwelling purposes. And when you get into business locations or industrial locations, you may not have a square lot. You may have an existing lot that may be pie-shaped, and that the better array of the buildings might be two buildings not connected, so that you can get stores in and parking in front. The same with, when you get into industry, they may need a separate building just to house some flammables, you know, outside of the industrial building itself. You know, storage situations. So basically with that one, you know, it's in what they did in the new bylaw, and this is BB&M did this, okay? They put the same thing back in, but it's a definition now. And it does cite still dwellings, okay? And my feeling is that we probably gonna need a little bit better information on that, because that really needs to get changed.
And this is in reference to what, Jim?
It's the,
I noticed the dwellings per lot on the code in 107.9, but what else?
well, it deals only with residential dwelling.
And they
But
wanted to go
it's
into
been
business.
interpreted as meaning
Oh,
any type of zone.
okay.
So what my suggestion is to them, do we need to break it out? Do we have to say something, this is the definition for, residential dwellings, business,
Right.
industrial,
And this was for the ZBA?
for the ZBA.
Okay.
All three of these
Or for the
are
ZBA.
for the ZBA to help
Okay.
them out.
Got it.
And, we've already done, well, the one with the in-law apartment was done for them. I mean, they don't like it.
Yeah.
They don't like the way that thing's written.
Well, that's something that
So-
we're gonna have to review then, so, okay, Jim.
Yeah.
Good work on that.
Okay.
So, any other planning board business before we just get to those Mylars?
Getting back to the medical marijuana, the Copeland and Page suggests that we start the hearings even though we haven't written anything. They said it would be recommended to start them now.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll take a look at the schedule. We gotta have that, before we have the hearing, we do have to have that printed, so we should probably shoot for something at the end of January. At the first meeting in January, have
It'll
this
be
thing tuned up.
done, it'll be done. The next meeting, I walk in, you'll have copies.
Okay.
Everybody will
So
have
let's look at
copies.
the,
Yeah, I can't go writing this stuff and then everybody wants to throw in something, because that's when it gets worse.
yeah,
Okay? I did the selectmen's meeting, I told them I had about 500 hours, and then I sat down and I figured out what I really had. It's almost 900 hours
into this.
on this bylaw.
Wow.
And I mean, it's getting to the point where it's like, it's not my life.
It's sink or swim on this one. Let's get it out there and let the people vote on it. Okay, so we'll probably look at a hearing towards the end of January, because we'll have this thing ready to go, and then review, and then pass it out, and then
Yeah.
we can do with the hearings.
Yeah,
towards the end
but
of January.
the other thing is, right now, is I did not like that comment whatsoever at all by Denise, that Copeland wants another year to review the new bylaw.
Nah, they can't, oh, you mean the zoning bylaw?
Yes.
No, you can't do that.
I
This
mean,
thing's been out there for,
We've got problems.
6 or 7
We've got
years.
problems in this town, that the existing bylaw, it's 38 years of age since the last total rewrite.
right, it's the zoning
Don't
bylaw,
go this long.
like the master plan and the subdivision control law, they're all living documents. They need to be out there. We were mandated for that zoning bylaw to be put out years ago. The townspeople voted for it, put the funding up, we got a grant for some of it. That needs to be out there, so we need to put that before the people, get it voted on, and then it's a living document, so if there are changes that are necessary, they can happen rapidly on a language change or new sections that may need to come up, but it is way overdue. And it is time to get it before the people and have them vote on it at town meeting, and then accept it in. And the master plan as well, that's been ready for over a decade, and it's been tuned up. And a lot of the early work that the planning board did, from the Pines to Town Hall Complex, a lot of that work we forecasted in the Center Street project, was over a decade ago and is now bearing some fruit from all the hard work, but now those projects need to be updated, and the future projects of the town of Groveland be put into the master plan, and the committee's been working very hard on that. So that too needs to be accepted by the townspeople and get that going as a living document, and each board and committee can submit its changes as a living document as they come up, whether it be quarterly or yearly. So good work with that, and we'll get that before the people. And we've got a request from the police department to go over the 911 system, the new one, that's coming in. Officer Dwight sent an email, he wants to come in and brief us on that, so we'll see if we can get him in January on how that new system works. So I'll return an email to him. It's a little bit different system, he explained, and he wants to point it out to us. And also for the new projects in town, and wants to review some of those. I informed him I could also meet with him to show him the projects that were out there, and see if we could get a list of questions before the meeting time if they came up. And any other updates from the board?
Just for clarification, are you going to contact Eric Hopper and Larry Ogden?
I will.
Straighten them out and get the fees, and
Well, we'll bring them in for the next meeting and get a complete application, yes.
so that's
I'll take the-
January 6th.
Take the lead on that. Okay?
Well, there's all sorts of things of, this is gonna come out wonderful, so, I mean, it's like.
Well, let's get a start.
It's gonna have to be.
Let's get a start on this. Any other business?
Work on, that's all.
You ready then? Okay.
No.
If not, motion to adjourn.
So motioned.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Show the vote unanimous. Show the planning board meeting adjourned at 8:45. Thank you for watching at home. Have a nice holiday coming up here this month. Thank you.